guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called the Finnish language. It's very basic. The Finnish language, I think it's really hard. I don't think I could I do not know enough about the language to actually recognize it. I don't know, if I hear someone speaking French, I know they're speaking French. I do not know when someone's speaking Finnish. It's a language that to me sounds like probably gibberish or sort of an alien-like language. So I'm a little scared for this video, but I'm excited. So let's check it out and comment, like and subscribe.
Hey Paul, when are you gonna finish? What do you mean? When are you gonna finish talking about italki? Oh, I'm already finished. Okay, good, because you have a language video to make. Oh, that's right. What language is it today? Finnish. Yeah, I'm finished.
Stop. Stop that joke.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Lang Focus channel, and my name is Paul. Today I'm going to talk about the Finnish language. As you probably know, Finnish is the majority language spoken in Finland. It has about 5.4 million native speakers, with 4.9 million of them living in Finland, which is about 90% of the population of Finland.
I don't know how many people actually speak Finnish, non-Finnish people that actually speak this language. I would assume not that plenty. I think they're probably in Scandinavia, and it's probably not that big.
It's one of the two official languages of Finland, along with Swedish, which is spoken by about 5% of the population. And there are also Finnish-speaking minorities.
Okay, so that even in their own country, people speak Swedish, not just Finnish.
These across the border in Russia, in Norway, and in Sweden. You may have seen my video on the North Germanic languages. It's this one right here. And you might remember that I specifically excluded Finnish from that video. That's
Why?
because even though Finland is a Nordic country with geographic and historical connections to Scandinavia, the Finnish language is not a North Germanic language.
What
in
is
fact,
it then?
It's not even an Indo-European language. It is part of the Finnic language group.
See, it came from aliens.
Which is a branch of the Uralic language family.
That's
Other members
Russia,
of the
right?
Finnic group are Estonian, Karelian, Ludic, Veps, Ingrian, Vodic, and Livonian. But Finnish is the most widely spoken language in the Finnic language group.
Okay.
All the Finnic languages developed from Proto-Finnic, which was spoken around 3,000 years ago. The first stage was early Proto-Finnic. Then during the Middle Proto-Finnic period, some changes took place in that language, and it split into two. Proto-Samic, the ancestor of the Samic languages, and Late Proto-Finnic, which ultimately became the most recent
Sami people still exist to this day, right?
ancestor of all the Finnic languages. It's worth noting that
different.
Finnish contains a significant number of Germanic loanwords, some of them which are clearly ancient in origin. For example, kuningas, which means king, tuoli, which means chair, and it comes from the same root as stool, and koulu, which means school.
Well, the cool one with the school, I think that would be, it isn't that different. It's oh, it makes sense. Cool makes sense. And the Kuningas as king, I think that one's a little harder to figure it out, but I don't think it's that hard either. The Tuoli share, that's completely different though.
From words like these, we can see that the ancient Finns had extensive contact with Germanic people.
Makes sense.
Late Proto-Finnic
They were right there. Well, not technically right there, but they were close enough.
diverged into three dialects: Eastern Proto-Finnic, Northern Proto-Finnic, and Southern Proto-Finnic.
So there's
These
so
three
many
dialects
dialects.
of Late Proto-Finnic mixed with each other, and the resulting mixes of influences developed into the dialects that make up the Finnish language. Around the 12th century and 13th century CE, Sweden conquered Finland and made it a province of their country, and for the next few hundred years, Swedish was the language of administration. And during
Kind of insane then that still the language exists, because even they were conquered for 200 years. So it's still kind of a miracle for the language to actually, for the Finnish language to still be spoken today, even despite being invaded by Sweden. That's quite a feat.
During this time, Middle Low German was the lingua franca of commerce in the area, and Latin was the language of religion. Swedish and Middle Low German left an additional Germanic influence on Finnish, which during that time was strictly a language of daily communication. Finnish did not really become a written language until the 16th century, when a Finnish bishop named Mikael Agricola created the first comprehensive
Okay, I thought that Agricola, I thought it had something to do with agriculture, and I was oh, he was probably a farmer.
writing system for the language. He based that system on the orthography of German, Swedish, and Latin, and it still forms the basis of the Finnish writing system today, although there have been changes since then.
Okay, so he just created language, basically, a lot of how he shaped it. Crazy, that falls on just one person?
1809, Russia seized Finland from Sweden in a war and made it an autonomous state as part of the Russian Empire. The official language and the language of the elite remained Swedish, but Finnish national feeling and a desire to make the Finnish language dominant began to increase. In
Of course, you want your own sort of identity, so of course they were like, no, we have to speak Finnish.
1835, these feelings were amplified by the publication of Kalevala, a work of epic poetry written by Elias Lönnrot, with stories from Karelian and Finnish folklore and mythology. Lönnrot also played an important role in the development of Standard Finnish. In 1863,
good to know that it didn't just fall on like the Agricola guy.
Finnish became an official language in Finland alongside the Swedish language, and they both remain official languages today. And with a new sense of
by that point, were they already independent, or were they still a part of Russia?
National identity emerging, Finland eventually gained independence from Russia in 1917.
So the language came first and the independence, which, makes sense.
Before Standard Finnish was created, the Finnish language consisted of a number of dialects that could be roughly divided into Eastern and Western dialects.
Could they understand each other? Like if someone from West, they spoke like West, I don't know, Finnish, like could they understand an Eastern Finnish like dialect? Or were they just like, do not understand what you mean, my guy?
The Western dialects are the ones upon which Standard Finnish was largely based. From what I understand, these days the dialects mostly consist of differences in accent.
Oh, okay.
But outside of
so they could understand each other perfectly.
Finland, there are a few interesting dialects that are officially considered to be different languages, even though they are intelligible with Standard Finnish. This includes the Karelian language in Russia, meänkieli, which is spoken by a Finnish minority in Sweden, and Kven, which is spoken by a minority in Norway.
It's funny how they're all like largely unintelligible. Okay, good to know.
So what is the Finnish language like? Well, it shares some features with the other members of the Finnic language group. Some of those features are no grammatical gender. There is no distinction between masculine, feminine, or neuter. Not even in the personal pronouns.
Oh.
Han means both he and she.
Oh my, okay.
And interestingly, Finland was one of the first countries to grant
That's weird, right? I think, don't all languages have pronouns?
women the right to vote, and it was
like gender pronouns, not just pronouns in general.
was one of the first to have a female president. So maybe gender equality is just built into the language and way of thinking. Hey, you never
Maybe, but I think that's kind of like, that's strange, right? To me, that's very weird.
never know. Next, no articles. Articles are the words like a or the in English.
Okay. It's
English
just like
speakers
one
often
word.
wonder how you can communicate without those articles, but the context usually provides enough meaning that you don't actually need the articles.
Yeah, out of context, I think it's weird, but I think probably makes more sense because you have to like start thinking in Finnish. So if you start thinking in Finnish, probably that's not a problem. I think this is only a problem if you're trying to translate things from English to Finnish. And it's like, how am I going to do that if I don't have the article, if I don't have a or I don't have b?
Next, Finnish has some prepositions. In English, those are words showing location or relationship, like to or at.
Yes,
on.
those are quite necessary.
But Finnish has many more postpositions. These are similar to prepositions in function,
But at
but
the
they
end?
come after the word that they add meaning to,
God.
rather than before. Here's an
That to me is a little weird, but I think like it makes sense because then how are we able to communicate? I don't know the gender. I don't have the adjective. Not the adjective. I don't have anything. It's like, oh my God, what am I speaking?
example sentence with the postposition.
Tori on kaupungin keskellä.
This sentence means the market is in the center of town. Tori means market. On is similar to is. Kaupungi is town. The N at the end of kaupungi is the genitive case showing possession. And then after kaupungin, we have keskellä, which is the postposition, which means in the middle. So it's a postposition because it comes after the noun kaupungi. Next.
Okay, so technically they're at the end, and it sounds obviously weird because you're used to things going like earlier and before this, but I think like ultimately once you get the grasp of the sentence, like I know the meaning. It's weird, but again, I think it's probably makes sense for them because like if you speak this language, like it makes sense to you.
Next, lots of grammatical cases, 15 to be precise. That means that nouns, personal pronouns, and adjectives have 15 different forms depending on their function in the sentence.
This is a
We
nightmare.
can't look at all 15 right now, but let's look at an example. Finnish has
scary.
the accusative case, which marks a direct object, and that's common in lots of languages. It can be shown with an N at the end of the word, or it can be shown with nothing, just left blank at the end of the word. But there is also something called the partitive
no idea
case.
what that
This
means.
also marks a direct object if the object is only part of a whole, or if the action is incomplete, or if the action is negative.
Syötkö kalan?
This sentence means, will you eat the fish? Should means you eat. K is a question marker. Kala.
But hold on, like, are those words, like, is this one word? Because if I'm asking you eat, like, okay, you eat are those are two separate words. What do you mean siod means this? I don't get it. Like, what if you're talking like, did you walk? Like, or, you know, you slept? Like, okay, like, what am I supposed to say? How am I supposed to say that?
Is fish, and the n at the end of kala is the accusative case, showing that the action will be completed and that the whole fish will be eaten.
With just an N.
Kala.
Means, do you eat fish? So again, shut is you eat, k is the question marker, kala is
Okay, I think like maybe, and I'm doing this completely wrong because I'm comparing this to English, which I shouldn't because it's another language. But I think it's similar to like maybe like a verb, like when you're conjugating like different verbs and you change obviously like the little ending. Probably like this is similar, only that instead of verbs, it's just like, what is this, an adjective? Like it's weird, but I think maybe it's not that weird if I think about it, if I go at it like that way.
fish. And the a at the end of kala is the partitive case, which shows that there's no completed action. There's no
So is it always an A and always an N, or do you just have to like learn like the different words?
completed action because there's no specific fish being eaten. This is just a general question. Next, you may have noticed in the above example sentences that the present tense and future tense are the same. That's right, in Finnish there is no future tense, but the future can be indicated in a couple of ways. When you see a present tense verb with an accusative case object, like this, that indicates the future because it shows that the action will be complete at some point. When you see a present tense verb with the partitive case, like this, that indicates present tense because the action is not a completed action, so it must be happening now. The future can also be clarified with a time expression. Here's an example demonstrating that there is no future tense in Finnish.
Luen.
This means I read.
Luen huomenna.
This means
See, this is tripping me out. How does one word means like actually like it has the verb and also like the pronoun? Like that's weird.
I will read tomorrow. Huomenna means tomorrow. And that time expression is what indicates that this action will take place in the future. Next, there are
This is being like I don't know if it's a translation, but it's like very like Tarzan talking like, oh, because we don't have articles. Yes, okay.
a lot of long words in Finnish because of agglutination and because of compound
Yes,
words.
it's weird.
Finnish is an agglutinative language, meaning that words can be formed by attaching together pieces that add meaning to the word, without those pieces changing. You just attach them together. In English, we might use separate words like conjunctions and prepositions, but in Finnish, special endings can be added to a word stem. Here's an example starting with the word for house.
Talo. Talossa. Taloissa. Taloissani.
Oh my god.
Taloissanikin.
I think I'm seeing this and I have no idea how am I supposed to learn this. Like if I were ever to learn this language, I have no idea how exactly am I gonna learn this. Like look at the other one. Talo isa ni kinko. Like what?
Taloissanikinko.
And a few additional features of Finnish. Number one, the main stress always goes on the first syllable of the word. Number two, there is no equivalent of the verb to have in
What do I do
Finnish.
then?
Number three, Finnish has negative verb conjugations. That means that instead of using a negation word like not, it has an entirely different form of the verb to show that it's negative.
Okay,
Finnish is
I like
clearly
that.
a very interesting language that might be quite different from the languages that you're used to
Yes.
speaking and learning. But is
Yes.
Finnish as hard to learn as people say it is? Well,
Yes.
I can't tell you from personal experience, but it seems to me that if you've never learned a language from the Finnic group or from the Uralic language family before, then you'll
You're in
probably
trouble.
have to bend your mind a little bit to understand how that language works,
Yes.
and that'll probably take more focus and effort than learning a language that's more similar to your own.
Well,
but
that's
as
true,
is always the
always.
case, your passion for any language or culture will carry you through the challenges of learning that language. So if you're fascinated by Finnish, you really should go for it. Okay, the question of the day. For Finnish speakers, how noticeable are the Finnish dialects today? Can you tell where a Finnish speaker is from just by hearing them speak? And a different question for people who've studied Finnish. How challenging is Finnish to learn? Did you find it quite tough or did you just find it different? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks again to all my Patreon supporters for your continued support. And everyone else, thank you for watching and have a nice day.
Okay, I like that he was like, oh, is it that hard? Well, no, not really. It's like, no, I think it is. I think like he was only, well, of course, if you are not familiar with like either of the languages in the your family, I think that's what it was. It's gonna be harder, right? Like, yes, of course, just by nature, but of course, it's true as well that if you're learning a language, like you're not that you that is very dissimilar. Like it's not that similar to the ones that you already speak. of course it's going to be harder for you because obviously you have like a less point of reference. So of course, if you already know like some languages from, I don't know, what is it, like the Romance family, the Latin family or something like that. Of course it's going to be like easier for you like learn it if you already know like a few of those languages. And of course that goes with like some, like the Germanic languages. Of course, if you know like some of them, it's going to probably be a little bit easier to just sort of like learn the others. But I think like this, maybe it's because I'm very unfamiliar with the whole, like with those languages, like in general, like the Uric family. I think like this looks massively hard. I think like what he would said was true. Like you really do have to like bend your mind to actually try to understand this. And it's like, yes, I think one thing that I think a lot of people make the mistake of is, I think when some people are trying to learn a new language, they're trying to sort of like compare. You're trying to like translate. Oh, because what I already speak of is because I'm thinking in that language. Like if I'm thinking about this, I have to like translate, right? If I want to say, I don't know, I want to go to I want to get in the car. You're going to translate that. You're like, oh, how would I go say like in Finnish, like I want to, like, what are the right words? But I think obviously that's like a really easy example. And when you're actually talking, you're not actually thinking about the actual like words. You're just like, you just have like a train of thought, and that's how you speak. But I think that's wrong, right? Because I think that what you should actually do is you sort of like you switch your mind and your brain starts to think in that language. Obviously, that takes time. Obviously, if you don't know anything about like Finnish, I'm gonna think in Finnish. No, of course not. I have no idea what that means. But I think once you have like enough grasp in a certain language, you're just gonna do this. I think probably like I think it starts to happen naturally. Like once you get like immersed enough, you just start thinking in that language, and you're kind of like, okay, I don't have to translate things because I'm just like thinking in that language, which I think it's the ideal, and that's how it really should be. And you're not trying to constantly like compare the actual language that you're speaking to other languages that you already speak, or you just one or two or whatever. You're not actually comparing them because again, you're just like, I just following my train of thought and I'm just like speaking. But I think like that's actually the key. You're not actually comparing it. And I think probably, when you're like going around in your daily life. But in this case, because it was just a language video, and I think like they really do go, he really does like explain, hey, like this is the verb, this is the adjective, this is what you want to say, like you have to like switch this word, and there's no pronoun or whatever. Like it's really the analysis, and I think probably that's also why it looks like really hard, because I think obviously when you're talking, you're not, because again, when I was doing that, I was trying to compare it. I was like, well, but if I want to say this, like how would it go and say it? Yeah, of course, I don't know anything about it, so of course I can't, like, I don't have the actual tools to actually like be like, oh, I'm going to start thinking in this. But I think like my point is that when you're seeing the analysis, I think it looks even harder just because of like the whole, hey, yes, this word means this and this word means that, and if you add on to the post, what is it, like the post adjective or something, like it changes the present tense, like the tense, because they don't have a future tense. It's like, okay, like this all sounds so incredibly weird to me. That is because I'm trying to compare it to things that I already know, and I'm like, how would I go around saying this? But I think, well, obviously, like once you get the grasp of this enough and you have the right tools, and you're like, well, I kind of know what they mean. Like I am not like 100% fluent in this, but it kind of, if some two Finnish people are speaking, like I am gonna like understand a little bit what they're saying. So maybe this makes a little more sense to you, because it's like, yes, the analysis is really not that, it's really like probably not that hard. I again, maybe like if they showed you this in English, like I don't know, maybe I would be as well like, whoa, what do you mean? What? But it's like, yeah, because obviously when you speak something, like those things like come naturally, and you're not constantly like saying, oh, well, what was the verb? Like, should I have gone this, or what tense should I be using? Obviously, I think when you're writing it, because obviously when you're writing things down, you kind of tend to be more careful, not careful, but I think you tend to be like a little bit more aware of like those little, the particularities of a certain language. I think when you're speaking, when you're talking, you're not constantly like you're not constantly like being like, oh, is this right? Is this true? I don't know, like, is this correct? You're just like speaking, and that's it. But I think when you're writing, you kind of like, you're a little bit more careful, just because I have the time to actually think about this. When you're like talking, you're just like talking, and that's it. But I think like this is very, very interesting. I think like still I don't know if I would ever learn this just because it looks like I would love to, yes, what a flex. I think like anyone that speaks Finnish that's not either like yes not what part like I think it was Latvia, one of the countries that actually like has similarities with this. Like if you are from an opposite sort of like if you speak another language that's not at all similar to Finnish, like I'm trying to think of like something that's really, really different. I don't know, like Mandarin, or I don't know, even English. I don't think they're that similar. Or I don't know, like Spanish, Portuguese, French, Italian. Like if you speak either of those languages and you learn how to like speak Finnish, that is like, wow, what a massive flex. You have my utmost respect, because it's like I could see it's a really hard language. And yes, maybe if you want to go this a little bit like in the easier way, maybe you have to learn another language in that family, and then maybe a one that's a little bit easier, and then you would go around like learning the Finnish one. But I don't know. I think like it would still be very, very hard, because like you have to like rewire your brain to start thinking like this, and that's I think the hardest part. Like those things. Even some people I think are having like an easier time learning languages. I think it's like some people just like I don't know, they have like a special talent. But if you don't have a special talent, well, good luck to you, because this looks very hard. And I think again, I don't know if I were able to. I mean, I would love to, but I don't think I would ever like come to like a place of so completely understanding of like yes, this makes sense to me, and this I can maybe speak it. I think maybe I don't know. It's just like I'm not even worried about the pronunciation. I'm just stuck on like how different like the thing is without like you have to start thinking without adjectives and without like pronouns, and you have to start thinking in a very weird way. So I don't know if I would ever find myself like in I don't know if I would ever get there. Maybe at some point in my life I would love to, but I know realistically like this looks very hard. I think like I'm finding it very, very hard. But I loved it. Good luck if you're ever trying to learn Finnish. Hopefully like I wish that to you. And that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.